All right, Sporothrix time. Okay, I have a Riven. Relax. we have a non-Riven build. Okay, relax. I understand. I have a Riven. He has a Riven for everything. No, listen. I have a lot of hours on this game, and I care about Riven. And I might do a video to help you guys care about Rivens a bit more as well. Maybe increase your creativity, if time allows me to do so, because I'm trying to do a video every day. But we might see it. We might see it. I might not get lazy and actually do it. Don't worry about it. Let's actually see what the Sporothrix does. So obviously, I don't know if you know, but once the video has out, you will have a little bit more time to... Oh, hello. You will have a little bit more time to grab this right here. Volatile variant. This is an augment for the Sporothrix that gives it a lot of good quality of life changes. Basically, the swords of the Sporothrix starts exploding instantly, which is the big one, and then barbs that strike enemies directly have a 4-meter extra explosive radius, which makes it pretty much on par with the Corrosive and even better than the Corrosive. So very strong. So we have a 60% called the Sporothrix, which I didn't actually pick it up, but I'm gonna. Don't worry. I just need to do one more called a Lich or Technocide, and I should pick it up. And then, yeah, the build itself. This is a very interesting Riven. And if you have Rivens like this, you can do some interesting stuff. So how do these Rivens work? When you have multiple elements onto a Riven, let's say this Riven, you're gonna see this Riven, you're like, oh, this gives Corrosive. That is true. However, let's do some shenanigans here. So let's remove Volatile Variant for now and do the shenanigans. So what if we put this Riven here and here we put another mode? What happens? Well, basically, if I put a cold mode here, do you think we're gonna combine with the toxin or the electricity? The answer is the toxin, because Riven modes take a combination of elements and the priority goes from the bottom to the top one. So if we add a cold here, we're gonna go for viral and electricity, which combines into radiation because I have a valence fusion of heat. If this was electric, we would have viral electric onto this build. But I quite like my Corrosive here, and I just showcase this just in case you guys were wondering how these work and how you can actually abuse Rivens with multiple elemental statuses. For this one, I'm just abusing it to straight up get Corrosive on my weapon, and Sporothrix is a weapon that has its Riven disposition increased gradually to a 3 dot. So I have a quite a bit amount of Corrosive damage here, which is pretty crazy. But I really wanted to max this out because the Sporothrix does tend to slash proc a lot, and I wanted to increase that slash proc because the slash procs can go crazy onto this weapon. So we're gonna see it on action here, and we're gonna talk a bit more about it as we go. In general, the Sporothrix is best used for a disruption weapon because it does so much damage that it absolutely one-taps disruption targets, but I don't think we need to showcase that. I think we're gonna showcase it straight up onto a survival mission, and then we're gonna change to a Rivenless version that is gonna be looking better for the survival mission since it's gonna be built for blast instead of Corrosive like I have here. And the reason I built Corrosive onto this instead of any other element is because the Sporothrix is innate viral. So now we have viral, Corrosive, magnetic, and radiation onto this build, which with one shot, as you can see, we're getting quite a bit of stats. So yeah, and obviously the only reason I have camera shot and why I recommend added some crit damage onto this weapon is once again the Adar Zakavat. There are some ways that you can force your weapons to crit, and Adar Zakavat, Arcane Avenger, you know, these are ways you force your weapon to crit, and the Sporothrix, just like the Kuva Nukor, oh god, yeah, we're gonna ignore that. Just like the Kuva Nukor, it has quite a bit of critical damage and low crit chance. I'm just gonna... Yeah, you got this, Kavat. All you, brother. All you, brother. What the hell am I watching there? Is it still going? Okay, it's stopped. Finally. Okay, that was a pretty interesting shape. Oh my god. But as you can see, yeah, 13 million damage. This weapon can deal a lot of damage because as you can see, when we aim in, we get a headshot damage multiplier, which combines with primary death hit for another even better headshot damage multiplier, and we also have target acquired for this build, which increases our headshot damage even more. So aiming for headshots on a weapon like this is crucial, and it increases the damage even more. But even if you don't, the damage is still quite there. It's still quite good, especially if you just try the spamming. Which is why this weapon is really good for Wisp, because normally you cannot really spam this weapon, but with Wisp you can literally just spam the ground next to the enemies and absolutely kill them, or headshot an enemy if they are a heavy unit and deal a million damage to them. So overall, amazing weapon for Wisp. Increases the weapon's capability and AoE quite a lot when used with this Warframe, because you don't actually have to mod for any type of fire rate. But even if you didn't mod for any type of fire rate onto this weapon, it's still really good as a weapon to one-shot an enemy, and overall, the AoE coming from Volatile variant and its increased range is quite good, as you just saw there, and it can be increased with Prime Firestorm if you wish to do so, but I don't think it's needed. Also, the Kavat has given me crit here, so I can I can dish out a lot of damage by just shooting the ground, basically. But yeah, Adar's Kavat, just like the last video mentioned, very goated, and if you have Arcane Avenger here instead of Molt Augmented like I have, you can get this thing to orange crit quite often, which is interesting, to say the least. Orange crits on the Sporothrix go quite hard. So yeah, I'm gonna activate the clips, see what type of damage number I can potentially get if I do crit on a heavy unit like that gun. Okay, we saw so many damage numbers that I couldn't even turn. My bad. But yeah, overall, the Acolyte is gonna be absolutely murked from this weapon. The damage from this is quite insane. And yeah, the only other weapon that is close to this weapon is the Corrosive, which used to be a better version of it. Now, because of Volatile variant, it's a worse version of it. And because of the Coda variant, obviously Coda variant helped a lot. Especially now that the Riven disposition is high. When the Coda variant released, a lot of people still use the normal Sporothrix because the disposition of the normal Sporothrix was way higher. But now, that is simply not the case anymore. You can just use the Coda variant, have really high disposition, get some really good damage numbers in. Really nice. But I'm quite fond of this Riven mod because of the extra free corrosive damage, because I can mod for things like extra headshot damage through target acquired and some other stuff, and you know, simply benefit by having corrosive damage into one mod. And I do love Riven mods that do that, that have multiple damages onto one, especially when you know how they work. They go bottom to top in order, and you understand how you can make them combine and get you to the correct elements that you need. So, you know, if you want to build viral heat, you have a Riven mode that is heat and cold, like heat first, cold second. Well, now you know that if you add a Malignant Force mode before that for Toxin, then you're gonna get viral heat, which is really nice. Or you could use that mod for straight up blast. That also works and will do really well. It's always up to you, and the creativity is quite endless when it comes to Riven mods, and especially when you know how to use them. Which is why I kind of want to make a video about them. We'll see if that video comes out. I hope it comes out. It's going to help a lot of people, especially with optimizing their builds when it comes to Riven mods, or knowing what kind of Riven mods to accept when the time is right, depending on how their build is. In my opinion, when you are rolling Riven mods, you should have a screenshot of your build next to it, just to know what Riven mod, what mod your Riven mod will replace, because what your Riven mod should do is replace a mod onto the build, essentially. But yeah. Sadly, on the build that I'm showcasing here, the mod is not really replaceable, but you could probably do Corrosive and just remove Hammer Shot for Golden Toxin, and I walked into that like an idiot, but it's fine. Because, you know, last gas patches, you can't really die anymore in this game. Waiting for the Acolyte, to be honest, which is quite late for some reason. Yeah, as you can see, 6 slash procs, which is why I have the Riven maxed. If it wasn't for the slash damage on the Riven, I wouldn't really max it, but this is so prone to slash broken that I really wanted the extra slash damage from the Riven mod, so... Yeah, as I said, the Acolyte is gonna get wonked onto this. Also, if you don't aim with this weapon, it gets quite inaccurate, so as you can see there, we got a big spread onto it, so If you want to have a bit more AoE, you can fire it from the hip and get a bit more AoE, which is also really nice. But I tend to aim it downside to get that headshot multiplier and try to aim for heads, because the AoE is so large that it's gonna hit people anyway, and the headshot just does so much damage. So yeah, I quite like this weapon. This weapon is really powerful, and obviously, you know, 6% is not a lot, but when I get it to 60%, I'm gonna have quite a bit of fun with it. Now, obviously, this is a Riven modded build. We're going to showcase non-Riven builds, and I'm also going to showcase a Debilitate build. I think primary Debilitate, especially when combined with Roar on this weapon, is absolutely goated, so I really want to showcase it. So, for our non-Riven modded build, as I said, we're going to go for Blast instead. This is more of a universal build because, you know, blast damage, really nice in general. And I have opted to add a bit more cold damage here because of the blast damage synergy that I want. Essentially, the more blast procs you get, if you get them to 10, you will actually trigger the explosion earlier and get extra damage from it. And if somebody is affected by the blast procs, then they're gonna take a huge damage number when they actually explode from these blast procs when they die. But you can also proc them by just proccing 10. But those can happen both simultaneously, before the enemy dies or as the enemy dies. And yeah, you get kind of a double explosion effect, which is really cool. In general, I just liked more blast onto this, so I added straight up prime fire rounds, combined it with the balance bonus from heat, and this is our final build. Once again, hammer shot here for the extra status chance, and of course, the extra critical damage, because this weapon has quite a bit of base critical damage on its own, and I can abuse Adarza. And speaking of which, I'm actually going to change Molt Augmented for Arcane Avenger so we can see how that looks like and see if we can get some orange quits into this, shall we? So, same mission again, but sadly, I'm never getting a survival mission when I want to showcase these, so that's quite unlikely. I really want to showcase the survival and belly of the beast, but I never quite get it, unfortunately. So, obviously we're not gonna see much difference, but the blast procs will help with the AoE quite a bit. So now, as you can see, one shot procs 5 blast procs, and then just spamming the shot somewhere will add close to 10 blast procs and then explode enemies, and then that enemy can explode the next enemy that is also affected by blast, and we can have multiple explosions, which tend to add more AoE to the weapon for free, which is really nice. And that is the blast synergy that I was talking about. Basically, an enemy has a blast proc, the enemy next to it has a blast proc because the explosions themselves trigger the blast, and then you get multiple blast procs working together. It is really nice on this weapon, blast damage. But yeah, overall, I think still aiming for headshots, just doing that, really nice. And as you can see, I think we did 7.4 million blast damage onto those guys because of that multiple explosion triggering. I think it all adds up immediately to just one number, and we saw just a huge 7.4 million explosion damage. So very cool in general. Very cool blast interactions onto AoE weapons that you can abuse, and overall it's something that I think another weapon that abuses this really well is the Tenet Envoy. In case you like that weapon, you can definitely do something like that onto that. But yeah, overall, quite a bit of damage. As you can see, compared to the Riven mode version of this weapon, the difference, at least with my Riven, is not that big. The difference on my Riven comes to when I want to do single target and I want to do a disruption target. For disruption targets with my Riven, I can straight up just stun the target and then spam him and he will just die even at level cap, which is what the weapon is really good at and why I have chosen said Riven mode. The single target damage of it is nuts. However, if you want multi-target, a non-Riven mode version might actually be better, especially because of the blast proc. But if you want to get a Riven mode, then getting blast directly onto the Riven, or like heat or cold directly into the Riven, so you can put your balance to be another element, and then you simply do just base damage modes and all that. Maybe Bane modes, Elementalist modes, target acquired, all that good stuff. You get some pretty crazy results. And obviously, you know, this is one of the few snipers in the game that you actually want multi-shot on. because you don't really care about the initial hit damage, you care about how many hits you provide to the enemies, because the high status chance is going to provide more blast strokes, and those are going to be doing the damage instead. So really like this weapon, very unique. The low crit chance also doesn't help accuracy quite a lot, because, you know, obviously it provides a critical chance depending on your base critical chance, which on this weapon is quite low. And we simply fix it with mods like, or Arcane Avenger and the Adar's Akavat, for me at least. So yeah, Arcane Avenger with this build especially is going to be on permanently, and with Adar's Broken we see some orange crits, which is quite nice. But overall damage is still quite nuts. I don't think much changes from the initial hit. We still see like 3 to 5 million, and then the blast strokes can go to 500k or even millions if multiple proc at the same time due to the interaction. And yeah, it is quite fun. Overall, really good weapon. Definitely get the 60% this week if you haven't already. I think you should, to be honest, because a lot of people have been tweeting about it, and since there is not much things to do in Warframe at the moment aside from Belly of the Beast, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will have taken their time to actually go ahead and you know, get their called the Sporothrix already. And if you haven't, you definitely should, because look at this acolyte. He died in 3 shots instead of 2. That's the difference between the Riven and the non-Riven, I guess. Wow, huge difference. Yeah, overall, especially if you're a Wisp player, this is one of the better sniper rifles you can have into your arsenal, and one of the better weapons in general. I think I did mention it onto my guide. I should have, at least, if I didn't. And yeah, it is very strong, very strong. This and the Corrosive are both amazing weapons. I kind of like the Corrosive a bit more because it has 2 firing modes instead of 1, and you can abuse the punch through firing mode to do some silly things with Zada's Whisper, which makes it a bit more creative. But this one is also so good. It's just so powerful, and it also looks really cool. I mean, very stylish weapon overall. I think the other weapons, all of them are quite stylish. The Toxica and the Bubonico especially, although the Bubonico is a tiny bit too big for my stuff. And then all of them, I think the infested weapons in general look super cool in this game. They have great aesthetics, which is also why you see my Wisp fashion, my main Wisp fashion being infested or just demon related kind of. Finally, for the last build that I will showcase, we'll go for a primary Debilitate build, which will actually sew onto disruption missions, because I think it's gonna go the hardest on that one. This one will use my Riven mode, but you can actually skip my Riven mode if you want by simply... Wait, actually, I need to change this to radiation. Give me a second. Anyways, as I said, you can skip this by simply putting Toxin here, and then replacing magnetic capacity for electricity. And then you will have similar results, but removing magnetic here, which isn't too bad, to be honest. You're losing 1 stack of CO, but yeah, that's about it. You will still get absolutely ridiculous damages here. You could either do that or simply forgo electricity by going electricity balance here and removing radiation completely. That also works. It's kind of up to you to do what you choose, but as you can see, viral / electricity, radiation, gas, magnetic, and obviously all of these will be able to proc some pretty crazy stuff. So overall, a very cool build, and if you want to use something like this with Debilitate, you should 100% go for Roar, as Debilitate with Roar are a match made in heaven. Oh, you cannot be serious. Okay. Why can't this happen at another time of the... Actually, it's for 59 minutes. Oh my god. Yeah, I might do that. Yo, I'm eating today. Holy. We have a Kappa Fisher. My favorite mission, in case you are not aware, Kappa Fisher. I think Tamu is also really nice. Tamu Fisher, which is the disruption mission on the Kuva Fortress, which, you know, it also provides Kuva, but I think just straight up getting Platinum instead of Kuva is a bit more valuable to a lot of people. And I can simply farm my Kuva anyways. Anyways, I'm not gonna use Roar for the first wave, I'm gonna use Roar for the second wave and just use the weapon normally for the first wave. So we can see the difference kinda. So we're gonna be expecting a bit less damage per shot here, obviously, but The extra damage that we're gonna get is from when Debilitate starts proccing from the gas procs and the electricity procs, I guess. They combine into each other. The initial damage is still really good, don't get me wrong. We still have some really good stuff here, but yeah, Debilitate will just take over when it starts proccing and your damage gets crazy. So for base steel path, definitely note this build, but once you get out of base steel path and you can start abusing Debilitate, you get so much better damage from this. So let's showcase it real quick. Hello. So the starting damages, as you can see, not great, but the moment Debilitate procs, the guy kinda starts popping. His health bar almost disappears, disintegrates, you know, whatever you want to call it. And that's kind of what happens all the way to level cap. Like on level cap, the procs for toxin electricity or toxin heat plus electricity start going crazy, especially when you add roar into the mix, and that's kind of where the damage comes in. Now, I know this is way too low level to showcase this, but sadly I do not have any better way to showcase this. I can probably body shot him, but yeah, you see what I mean, right? Like CO starts proccing more than your actual procs from the gas, electricity, toxin, heat. It all just goes crazy. You have so many DOTs working with each other, and then roar comes into the mix, which I'm gonna showcase after, and it just starts one-shotting everyone. It's so crazy. I think this Sporothrix build has pretty much every DOT in the game. Let me think about that, actually. So, slash electricity, heat, toxin, gas. Am I missing something? It also has magnetic in case the guy has overguard, which provides the electricity proc as well. I think it has every type of DOT in the entire game. Is Stalker chasing me again? Second video in a row. Oh my god, he is! Okay, this time we're more prepared, I think. Yeah, as you can see, 224k before the armor strip. I think after the armor strip it was over 1 million. And this is without roar. Roar is definitely something that adds a lot to this. So, anyways, yeah, for acolytes this is definitely not it. Because obviously you would want your base damages to not be gas procs, but Stalker is usually quite tankier than acolytes these days, which isn't really an excuse, it's just what it is. So, last guy without roar. Hello, Mr. Noxy. 2 million damage on the second shot. Very good. And yeah, roar will be a game changer here. So now we can start using it and showcase what this weapon actually does when it comes to the Debilitate build. And I know you're gonna say, okay, but this is just kind of roar abuse. Yeah, sure, but like, we're trying to see what this weapon does in general. Also, wait. I know where I should use it. I saw that guy. Wait, a guy, he's like, wait. Right behind this, there is the target that I have to kill for Samari's. Samari's target is the tankiest thing that I can actually showcase this in, so that should probably be 1,000 times better than doing anything else right now. Okay, well, I'll search him afterwards, whatever. I saw him on the minimap, I don't know how to get it. That's very unfortunate. It's fine though. I think disruption targets will just not be able to tank my damage, which is the big issue here. Also, roar is off, which is why the damage looks so bad right now, but I will try to speedrun the wave and then search for the Samari's target so I can showcase this better. So, first target. Hey. So as you can see, the procs, with just 3 shots, even with Debilitate not broken, very good. But when Debilitate procs, they multiply, so I'm gonna body shot him instead, and yeah, he's kind of gone. I think that's Kavat though. Yeah, that was Kavat. Alright, I need another key. I need a key where I don't get Kavat and I actually body shot them, because these guys are not tanky enough right now. What? Why did he turn around? What? I have never seen that before. He just knew I was there. Oh, there's the target. Oh shit. Close your eyes. And those are the procs that I was talking about. I think he got 6 million from them. Yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to say. that those procs, the moment you touch Debilitate, like this weapon scales better on level cap than the other builds. But, or I said this weapon didn't it? Well, this build scales better on level cap than the other builds, but you know, before you can actually proc Debilitate, it is not as strong. So if you're not going for something super late game, maybe pick some of the other builds and you should be fine. But Debilitate plus Roar plus this is definitely the play if you really want to go to level cap or something like that. Because obviously you saw that from the Samaris target, he just gets popped completely once Debilitate starts happening. He gets 6 million procs from electricity plus blast plus all the other status effects. Just a lot of DOTs absolutely destroying him. And of course, with next patch showing us how much our DOTs will actually do, this would obviously look a lot better. But right now, you just have to kind of trust my word and take off whatever you can from the Samaris OTs, because that's kind of the best that I can do for this video without wasting my time. Which I don't have plenty because I'm trying to upload a video every day until the asking. I need the asking. Really good weapon. You guys should pick it up. Definitely something to add to your arsenal, regardless if you want to play for something like the Debilitate or the Blast, or you know, you want to have a Riven on it. I don't know how expensive Rivens are on this weapon, but they provide pretty good stats. I mean, these are almost equivalent to the 90 modes, and the stats themselves can scale up to like 86%, I believe. 86 or 87, so that adds quite a lot of value here. And of course, you can also go for a Riven that has crit damage status chance, some Riven that has multi-shot. Overall, Riven modes on the Sporothrix can add a ton of value, and it has a good disposition now, so definitely something to keep in mind if you want to build this weapon, and something to look towards, because they do help a lot. And overall, if you want to have more fun onto this weapon, Riven modes can definitely enhance your flavor profile when it comes to building weapons. Thank you very much for watching another video of mine, and I will see you on the next one.